Can you imagine being stuck in an airport? Not for a few hours, or even a few days, but for 18 years? It sounds like the plot of a movie, right? Well, it actually inspired one. This is the unbelievable true story of Mehran Karimi Nasseri, the man who called an airport terminal home for nearly 2 decades. His story begins in 1977. Nasseri, originally from Iran, was exiled from his home country. He spent the next few years bouncing between European nations, searching for a place to settle. In 1988, he decided to travel to England, believing he had refugee status there. He boarded a flight from Paris to London, but this is where his life took a dramatic turn. Nasseri claimed that while in Paris, his briefcase containing his refugee documents was stolen. When he landed at Heathrow Airport in London, without any papers, British officials immediately put him on the next flight back to Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. But upon his return to France, he was in a legal black hole. He couldn't enter France because he had no passport or visa, and he couldn't be sent back to any other country because he had no official documents proving his identity or origin. He was a man without a country, trapped in international transit. And so, Terminal 1 of Charles de Gaulle Airport became his new home. For the next 18 years, from 1988 to 2006, Nasseri lived in the departure lounge. His daily routine was surprisingly structured. He would wake up on a red plastic bench, which served as his bed. He'd wash up in the airport as public restrooms and get his meals from airport staff or travelers who were moved by his story. He spent his days reading books, writing in his diary, and observing the endless stream of people coming and going. The airport staff grew accustomed to his presence, some even befriending him. They called him Sir Alfred, and he became a sort of local legend. Over the years, his case gained international attention. Human rights lawyers tried to help him. In 1999, France finally offered him refugee papers and the right to live in the country. But here's the twist. By this point, Nasseri had become so accustomed to his airport life, and perhaps so institutionalized by his unique situation, that he refused to sign the papers. He claimed the documents didn't list his name correctly, and insisted he was not Iranian but British. He had created a new identity for himself within the walls of the airport, and he seemed unwilling to let it go. His bizarre tale eventually caught the attention of Hollywood. In 2004, Steven Spielberg directed the film The Terminal, starring Tom Hanks. While the film was inspired by Nasseri's situation, it was a fictionalized and romanticized version of his life. Nasseri was reportedly paid for the rights to his story, but the money did little to change his circumstances. He continued to live in the terminal. Finally, in 2006, his long residency came to an end. Nasseri was hospitalized for an illness, and after his release, he was cared for by the French Red Cross. He was no longer living in the airport. For the first time in 18 years, he was outside the terminal walls. He spent the rest of his years living in a shelter in Paris. In a final, poignant chapter to his story, he returned to Charles de Gaulle Airport in his final weeks and passed away there in November 2022. Mehran Karimi Nasseri's life is a profound story about identity, bureaucracy, and the strange ways a person can adapt to the most extraordinary circumstances. He was a man trapped between worlds, who made a home in a place of transit, becoming a symbol of patience and a modern-day enigma. His story reminds us that reality can often be far stranger than fiction. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit the like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. See you in the next one.